this is wild. Let's listen to the clip I have here.
No.
What do you mean? Is somebody going to try to blackmail me with advertising? Blackmail me with money? Go yourself. But
look at Andrew Ross Circle.
Go
His reaction.
yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob. You're in the audience.
He's talking about Bob Iger.
Well, let me ask you then. That's how I feel.
All right, let's. The thing about Elon Musk that I don't know the guy. I can't go to the defense of him. I'm a big fan of some of the work he's doing. I think he is the person to put someone on Mars. And it's because of the personality he has to do something like this. It's in this book, like Walter Isaacson, he is my favorite biographer. Anytime he comes out with something, I've read it. Albert Einstein, Benjamin Franklin, Leonardo da Vinci, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, the innovators, the list goes on and on. He's just a great documentarian and he captures the essence of people. And this full access endorsed by Elon Musk it's not a completely flattering account of who Elon is as a human being. It's someone who has self-diagnosed Asperger's, but with this full sense of what he believes is in the best interest of humanity. So when he's thinking of electric cars, a lot of the obstacles they had to overcome were reasons why in the past electric cars just didn't work. And if he wasn't the way he was, literally telling advertisers in this sense to go F themselves, he wouldn't be where we are today with Tesla. Same with SpaceX. Space Exploration Inc. and also Starlink. It's because he doesn't take no for an answer. He doesn't back down to the status quo, how things are, certain regulations that he has to overcome, asking why, being that thorn in the side of a lot of individuals, but knocking down these obstacles to overcome a lot of things. In this instance, with Twitter, that has become X, and what I didn't know is that X is his favorite letter. That's why he named that odd whatever of his recent child with the artist Grimes. But X.com existed prior, and he's made that now Twitter, X.com, formerly known as Twitter, was for the protection of free speech. He saw a lot of censorship. He didn't like it. Everyone kind of just bends over backwards for the sake of advertisers and letting them dictate the business model. That's what we're seeing a lot now. And one of the reasons I wanted to change this channel was giving more objective viewpoints independent of advertiser input. How can you have and trust the source where it's coming from when you've got advertisers in the background kind of dictating, you can say this, you can say not that, I'm buddies with this subject matter, so don't cover it. News, free speech, platforms, social media, they're supposed to be independent of government, independent of religion, independent of any sort of interference with getting your viewpoint out there to a certain point. So United States, we do have constitutional free speech, but there are limitations to it. You can't incite violence. It has to be peaceful. It's not like completely out there. Like there are terms and conditions on X.com and you can still be kicked off for certain things. There were some things that I've tried to research, understanding more about the specific anti-Semitic endorsements, quote unquote. This was, again, this is the tough part. It depends what news source you look at on whether or not what Elon did was an endorsement. From the most objective viewpoint that I could understand, he wasn't endorsing. Again, I would love to know individuals' comments and their own perspectives on exactly the evolution of what happened that led to these advertisers boycotting X.com, formerly known as Twitter. But it seemed that it was more in the protection of an adversarial viewpoint that Elon was protecting through his endorsement. Again, he's a unique character. It's well captured again in this book. I like to read biographies about individuals like this because they are thinking differently. They are innovating in different aspects that are affecting everyone's life. Electric cars. It just so many times throughout history did it fail over and over again until he persisted, until he overcame regulatory hurdles and different obstacles that individuals couldn't overcome in the past. Private space exploration wasn't something that was done. It was government ran. It was dependent on government funds. Now we're looking at the birth of not only SpaceX, but Richard Branson's brand of Virgin Galactic with privateering space exploration. And then, of course, Jeff Bezos and Blue Origin. And it all stemmed from his initial input and then all of the different other companies that he's doing. I mean, the man was able to dig a hole in Los Angeles. Like, the average person wouldn't be able to do that. Like, you'd be sent to the nut house if you were like, hey, I'm going to dig a tunnel underneath the city. But Elon's established his credibility, and he's taken that in different aspects of his life. He keeps mentioning who's going to judge. Earth is going to judge. The potential is, with the pull out and boycott of advertisers, that it could destroy Twitter. It could destroy X.com. And he's willing to stand by his principles, and to the detriment of any employees that work for an individual like that, you kind of got a wild card up there. So is it the most ideal thing that you would want the owner, CEO, person stating that is running a business, kind of the face of it? No. But that's what you got there. And if you're going to, I guess, pioneer the way and move forward with the protection of free speech and understanding that you have an unbiased platform, I think what he did was saying, go F yourself, and resisting the idea of blackmail from advertisers is developing that public trust that X.com is that platform for independent, free thought. Again, as long as it is the protected First Amendment free speech that we've all known to come and love here in the United States. I want to keep listening on and see if there was other tidbits of information that came out of this.
Don't advertise.
How do you think then about the economics of X? If part of the underlying model, at least today, and maybe it needs to shift, maybe the answer is it needs to shift away from advertising. If you believe that this is the one part of your business where you will be.
Now, I've personally, as someone that publishes content on YouTube, have explored other avenues of publishing media. YouTube's got such a stronghold, and at least the outline of what Elon's provided on X.com, formerly known as Twitter, it seems to be attractive to be that alternative space to publish additional content, but it does come at a cost. So if you can run a model outside of advertiser involvement that does protect the free speech and is funded and ran by the users of the platform, it's very interesting. I love the community notes that were added on. So in this whole interest of protecting free speech, we have a lot of people peer reviewing one another. Again, it's this whole idea that we're policing ourselves. And I think it's in the trust of the users to be intelligent enough to do such. So let's keep listening on.
Beholden to those who have this view. What do you do?
Why?
I understand that there's a reality too.
So his reaction, and kind of this, it's not, I wouldn't say it's smugness, but he is entertaining himself. That's something that's often talked about in this book that Elon fully admits. Like, he's got a odd sense of humor. And I think in this, and you can see in his face, that he's proud of his position. He's steadfast in it. And it's just because he has confidence in his principles, and he's not dictated. That's another thing that's in this book. He's not dictated by money. I mean, the man just so happens to be the richest man in the world as a byproduct of his pursuit of things he's passionate about in the best interest of humanity, even to the point where he wanted to outbid Larry Page in Google's acquisition of DeepMind because he wanted to protect humanity from Google. Let's keep listening.
There's a reality too, right?
Yes. No.
I mean, Lindsay Ocarino's right here, and she's got to sell advertising.
Absolutely. So, totally. So, actually, what this advertising boycott is going to do is it's going to kill the company.
Could you imagine working for someone like that? That's where this gets you into trouble. Like, I have talked to people that personally have worked with Elon, and it's tough, but apparently it is rewarding.
And you think
and the whole world will know that those advertisers killed the company, and we will document it in great detail.
But those advertisers, I imagine, are going to say, we didn't kill the company.
Oh yeah.
How hilarious.
They're going to say,
Tell to Earth.
but they're going to say, Elon, that you killed the company because you said these things, and that they were inappropriate things, and they didn't feel comfortable on the platform, right? That's
I'm a big fan. I don't know if anybody else there watches Squawk Box every morning like I do. I have found personally that watching Squawk Box is the most cable news independent source I could possibly get, because the market doesn't care about your opinion. You got to report the news as is because it affects your wallet. And when money comes into play, it seems like people tend to be more even keel and objective in their stance, because feelings start getting away, emotion gets in the way. That's what really hurts you in your investment habits.
Let's see how Earth responds to that.
So, okay, this goes back to...
We'll both make our cases,
right,
and we'll see what the outcome is.
What are the economics of that for you? I mean, you have enormous research.
Yeah, it's an interesting... I just find it incredibly fascinating. I like to understand innovators and founders, see what their heartbeat is, and understand who they are. I have loved the influx of independent reporting, like Boiling Points with Crystal and Sagar, some of the work that Matt Taibbi does, and then all the various podcasts that are out there, because you get a true sense. All these long form podcasts, you get an absolutely true independent sense of who a person actually is, because you can't hide behind a persona or fakeness for that extended period of time. Your own self eventually has to come out. And that's one thing, despite Elon's personality and the way he goes about doing business, the way he he thinks that we're in a simulation. I don't think that's the craziest kind of theory out there. But for someone like himself that continues to succeed and continues to push forward and doing all these crazy things, I could see how living a simulation would be appealing to him. So his outbursts, his actions tend to lend itself, is what it appears, but also his self-diagnosed Asperger's, where this is how his social interactions work. So if it's in his head and that's what he's truly thinking, he puts it out there. I could not, I don't want to go into the anti-Semitism part, because I don't know enough to have an educated opinion on that. And I think it's okay not to have an opinion when that is the case. So it's fascinating. Would love to know your thoughts on how you view Elon, how you view X.com, how you view these advertisers and their boycott. Just want to have a general discussion, because I think it's fascinating when something like this happens in the zeitgeist that is kind of unforeseen, with a platform so large that it's just not being dictated by advertisers. And I think that's what we see it when they're being told to go F themselves. Now, what the reaction is going to be from these advertisers, are they going to have a chip on their shoulder and push the other way and just be like, okay, we'll tank you? Or is there going to be an uprising of users that are willing to pay more to keep the platform alive? Or are they just going to be like, hey, we need to be on the platform and we need to show that independence and free speech is protected, and we're just going to acquiesce to whatever the CEO is saying? I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of butting heads and a lot of power moves that are going to be had, and I would hate to see the platform go down personally, but just let me know your opinion. Thanks for listening.